Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Argentina for round number 3 of Season 1 of 8-Scale Nitro Buggy Racing here on VRC-Pro. Getting set to go for our A-Main final. We are off and underway. We'll let these drivers get a few laps sorted out. We'll see where they sit here in round number 3. All these drivers doing battle for the points series here for VRC-Pro 8-Scale Nitro Buggy. All the way here in Argentina. The World Championship track right now. These drivers trying to put in fast lap times as they're working their way around. A pretty clean start for everybody right now. Through the concrete section they go, dropping down. A very tricky track for these guys. Track surface a little bit looser than some of the other tracks. A lot of big air and a lot of different obstacles than some of the off-road tracks. There you can see right there the concrete jump. All right, down the front straight we go for lap number 1. We're looking at Martin Wollanka. Wollanka starting the number 3 spot. He's sitting 4th right now. Battle right now on the right-hand side of the track. Top 4 drivers all going to be right there together. Through the double-double to section. Wollanka jumping up on top that tabletop. Through the chicane onto the backside. Up and over the associated tabletop. Doubling into the corner now. Martin Wollanka sitting in 4th. Charging hard. Oh, and a mistake there. I believe that was Loriot. Loriot in that number 2 spot. Making a big mistake. Clipping that inside pipe. Having to get turn marshaled there, going to drop him back in the field. Martin Wollanka working his way now up into that number 3 spot. Here's Gall right now in the number 5 spot in the green buggy. Down the front stretch he goes. A lot of racing left to go here in this one. Cragg going to be out front leading the way. Gall now in that number 2 spot. As you can see, Cragg trying to stretch out his lead just a little bit. Oh, and Cragg puts it on his lid. Cragg making a mistake there right here. As you can see, gets on the inside pipe, flips it over. A tough place to crash back there. Dropping him back now in the field. He's sitting in the 5th place spot. Have to work his way back up through. As you can see, Cragg in the green, orange, and yellow buggy. Cragg out of the UK. Working his way through the inside section up and over the triple right now. Looks like he's sitting in the number 5 spot up into the 4th place spot now. Oh, good save for him there. Just about making a mistake going off the side of the track, sitting in 5th. That's going to be Dan Marson right in front of him. Your leader's onto the back right side once again. Some drivers going double-double. Several drivers there trying to triple up onto that back tabletop section. Gall out front leading the way now. The green, black, and white buggy, yellow wheels. He's got company up behind him, though. That's Martin Wollanka. Wollanka, VRC-Pro. Working his way up into that number 2 spot right now. Redmin out of the United States of America. Sitting in that number 3 spot. Through the switchbacks they go on the left-hand side of the track. Coming down the front stretch now. Gall looking strong. Gall coming around right now. 0.6 of a second lead on Wollanka. Into the back section they go. As you can see right here, this tricky chicane from the driver's standpoint of view. It's hard to judge that little chicane before that associated tabletop. A lot of drivers earlier in qualifying making mistakes through that section. And up here onto the concrete nice and slick, like driving on ice for these drivers. Gall looking strong out front now. Gall out of France. Ooh, making a little bit of a mistake. He's got the pressure now. Wollanka right there with him. Martin Wollanka trying to dive to the inside. Onto that far right side of the track they go. We'll see what they do through the rhythm section here. Wollanka dives to the inside. Double, and Wollanka triples up on top. Martin Wollanka now going to be your leader. Gall right there with him, though. Oh, and Wollanka thought he was going to hit that inside tire. Martin Wollanka out of Austria. Taking over the top spot now. Gall in that number 2 spot. Wollanka out front, the orange and white. Wollanka looking strong now. Putting a couple car lengths on Gall early on. Dropping down, up and over the triple they go. Cragg sitting in the number 3 spot. As you know, Cragg was your early leader out of the UK. Started that number 2 spot. Had a crash early on, dropping him back in the field. He's worked his way back up to 3rd now. Dan Marson in that number 4 spot. Barcina in the number 5 spot. Cragg right now. And there you can see Cragg going double-double and rolling up onto that tabletop. That's where he had that crash earlier on, dropping him clear to the back of the pack. Up and over the double he goes now through the switchback section. He's got a pretty clear track ahead of him and behind him. The battle behind him right now. Raging on. So Martin Wollanka going to be out front leading this one. There's Dan Marson. Marson working his way around right now, the Canadian driver. Marson trying to put in a performance like fellow Canadian Ty Tessman at the recent Dirt Nitro Challenge. Dominating that event, Marson looking to work his way to the front of the pack right now. Started in 6th on the grid, sitting in 4th. Here's Quentin Gall chasing down Martin Wollanka once again. Gall not letting Wollanka too far out of his sight right now. Through that concrete section they go, dropping down. Until you actually drive this track, that concrete section is much, much more difficult than you might think. These drivers making a look. Oh, Quentin Gall swapping out right there, getting sideways, hitting that inside curb. Back and forth he goes. A lucky save for him. Did lose some time, though, to Martin Wollanka. So Wollanka trying to stretch out his lead right now. In the number 3 spot, Nicholas Loriot. Once again, no stranger to the VRC-Pro. Driving the TLR car. Up and over the back tabletop he goes right now. Loriot going to be 2.2 seconds back from Gall. As they're working their way around. Loriot's fast lap right now, 41.3. Definitely some fast laps for these drivers laying it down. Loriot up and over the triple he goes. On to that left-hand side, up and over the roller. Down the front stretch now. Getting close to having to make some pit stops here in this one with 6:30 down. Pit stops can change up a lot of things, especially if these drivers don't strategize coming in and out of that pit section. Rick Redmin there in the number 4 spot. The American driver in the blue and white machine. Headed up onto the concrete now, stepping up, dropping down. A hard landing for those cars right there. There's Neil Cragg in the number 5 spot. Cragg trying to catch back up through the field now. We'll see how everybody sorts out after the pit stops. Martin Wollanka going to be out front leading this one right now. Quentin Gall in the number 2 spot. Loriot, Redmond, Cragg, Marson, Candy, Barcina, and Lee. Your top 9 right now. Dan Marson in that number 6 spot. He started in 6th, and he's sitting in 6th. The purple and yellow machine out of Canada. Up and over the back tabletop he goes right now. Here's Kwang Bok Lee. Kwang Bok sitting in the number 9 spot right now. Started in the number 8 spot. Fell back just a little bit. He's sitting in a lonely 9th right now trying to catch back up to the field. The orange and black machine out of South Korea. Working his way around to the front side once again. Up and over the triple goes, and there's your leader, Martin Wollanka, in for fuel, in and out, and a good pit stop for him right there. Nicholas Loriot in that number 3 spot, in and out of the pits as well. Part of the challenge for the pits, you can see how narrow pit lane is coming in and coming out. A lot of drivers can make real... Oh, and a huge mistake there for Quentin Gall. Let's take a replay here. Gall up and over this single jump, trying to hug the inside. Too close, gets caught up in the tire. That's going to cost him some time now. Nicholas Loriot going to be trying to close the gap up on him. Here's Gall trying to make that time back up in the green, blue, and white machine. Through the switchbacks he goes on the left-hand side, up and over the roller. Down the front stretch, and Gall coming in for fuel now. In and on the wall. There's Rick Redmond coming in and out of the pits as well. Good pit stop for him. As we were talking about, coming in and out of the pits, that's a challenge in itself, as pit lane is quite narrow. Everybody trying to race as fast as they can through there, but one little mistake, it just spun upside down. Redmond, as you can see right now, going to be out front leading this one with all the other drivers making the pit stops. We'll see how they sort back out. The blue and white machine. Oh, and a driver there making a mistake. Up and over the triple goes Redmond, working his way through lap traffic now. On to the left-hand side. Redmond looking really smooth here in this one. And as we come back around, everybody making the pit stops, it sorts out. Redmond sitting in the 3rd place spot now. So Wollanka taking back over the top spot. Dan Marson in the number 2 spot. I don't know if Dan Marson is pitted yet, though. That is Marson right there up ahead for Redmond. Marson in the purple and yellow. Up and over that single jump they go, stepping up onto the concrete. The purple machine up ahead of him there. That's the number 2 car. We'll see if he makes a pit stop on this one. Redmin coming around, dropping down, up and over the triple he goes. Keep an eye on Marson. We'll see. Marson may make a pit stop. Not sure if he's pitted yet or not. Redmin coming around here. He's got company coming up behind him now. Redmin, I believe that's going to be Neil Cragg right there with him. And Cragg in the green machine. Up and over the double-double section they go. Both drivers playing the safe line there. Onto the back side of the track. Up and over the big associated tabletop they go. Back into the infield now. Redmin and Cragg moving up into the number 3 spot now. Up and over the step-up section they go through the concrete. Cragg putting about a car length on Redmin. Cragg had a rough start here in this one. The driver from the UK, there's Nicholas Loriot. Loriot trying to work his way back up through there as well. Martin Wollanka going to be out front right now. Dan Marson in the number 2 spot. No, Neil Cragg up to the number 2 spot after the pit stops there. Cragg up at the number 2 spot. Loriot in the number 3 spot now. Redmin in the 4 spot. We're looking at Redmin right here in the blue and white, chasing down the TLR of Loriot. Loriot in the black, yellow, and white. 11 minutes down. Just past the halfway mark for these drivers now. Neil Cragg trying to turn up the heat and chase down Martin Wollanka. He's going to be 1.638 seconds back from him. Wollanka, the Austrian driver, out front leading this one right now. As you can see, Cragg trying to lay it down. His fast lap of 41.2. Cragg onto the right-hand side of the track right now. Fast lap by your leader is a 41 flat. That is fast lap of the race right now. And here you can see Nicholas Loriot in the number 4 spot. So Redmin moving back up to the number 3 spot now. Redmin, the American, there in front of him. Loriot out of France. As they work their way back around into the center section, up and over the triple they go. Onto that left-hand side, up and over the roller. Down the front stretch now. Loriot coming around on that one, a 41.3 on that lap. Chasing down Redmin right now. Through the double-double section they both go. All 3 drivers there. Taking the safe line once again into that back straight. Oh, Loriot, huge air. They're diving to the inside on Redmin. Not quite close enough to make the pass stick, though. Neil Cragg right ahead of him. Cragg right now hoping these 2 drivers get tangled up together and cost themselves some time. Here is your leader, Martin Wollanka. Right now, Wollanka holding strong, but I tell you what, our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and place drivers trying to close the gap. Oh, Wollanka making a mistake there coming onto the front stretch. Here's Rick Redmond in that number 2 spot now. Neil Cragg dropping to 3rd. Neil Cragg back up in his 2nd now. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th going to all be right there together onto the right-hand side. Redmond through the double-double section. Oh! Loriot making a huge mistake there. Keep an eye right here on Loriot's car, whipping it sideways. Boom! Bumps that outside wall. Somehow with the save. Huge luck on Loriot's side for that one. Rick Redmond going to be in that number 2 spot. You can see Wollanka not that far out right now. 2.2 seconds on the clock. Up and over the triple they go. Neil Cragg there, whipping it big. Up and over the roller, back down the front stretch once again as they come around. Another lap in the books. Look at Neil Cragg diving to the inside. Got him. Oh, no. Redmond back to the inside. Neil Cragg looking for the inside line. Back and forth they go through the double-double section on the right-hand side. Right here's where Cragg clipped that inside pipe early on. Cragg now up to the number 2 spot. Loriot up into number 3. So Redmond dropping back to 4th now. As they come back into that center section there, you can see Cragg in the green, orange, and white. Loriot in the yellow, black, and white. And Redmond in the blue and white. Up and over the roller. Redmond looking for the inside line on Loriot right now. And Loriot in for fuel. In and on the wall. And a good pit stop. Oh, just as I said that, making a huge mistake coming out of the pits. And that's what we were talking about earlier. Pit lane is so narrow and all these drivers trying to go so fast in and out of the pits often find themselves making a big mistake, costing them more time. And as you can see right now, Neil Cragg still sitting in the number 2 spot. Cragg working his way around, trying to catch up to your leader, Martin Wollanka. He's going to be 2.7 seconds back from him right now. Oh, Neil Cragg made a huge mistake on the triple. Just as I say that, just a little over 5 minutes left to go in this one. Cragg pushing a little too hard. Rick Redmond now up into the number 2 spot. Redmond in the blue and white machine. On to the right-hand side he goes. Redmond in a comfortable spot right now with 5 minutes left to go in this one. On to the back straight they go, up and over the tabletop. Redmond right now looking strong here in second. Quentin Gall, there's Gall in the number 4 spot. He's got Dan Marson right there with him. Marson out of Canada. Gall up and over the step up he goes, still sitting in the number 4 spot right now. There's Rick Redmond right now in the number 2 spot, back to the front of the field. Martin Wollanka trying to check out right now. Neil Cragg in for fuel. Several drivers in for fuel. So we'll see how this sorts out. Cragg in and out. A good pit stop for him right there. Pit stops right now ranging anywhere from the 48 to 51 second lap range. Redmond in that number 2 spot. We'll see if Redmond pits on this lap. Up and over this. Oh, got a little close to that inside pipe. Through the concrete section he goes right now, chasing down your leader. He's going to be 4 seconds back from Wollanka right now. Wollanka, the Austrian, laying it down here in this one. He started in that number 3 spot. He's up into the lead, and here comes Redmond in for fuel now. Redmond up and on the wall. We'll see, can Neil Cragg take over the top spot? And Cragg, what to see when they come by here. I believe Redmond's still going to be in that number 2 spot. Martin Wollanka right now scoring, showing Wollanka in the number 2 spot, but Wollanka waiting for the pit stops and all that. It should sort itself out here on this one. And Redmond's still going to be that number 2 spot. Here's Martin Wollanka. Wollanka, your leader. Coming around now, up and over the double he goes, working his way back into the center section. Wollanka out front, leading this one 17 minutes down, 3 minutes to go. Wollanka grabbed that early lead and is trying to hold on to it all the way to the finish. Here's a battle for second and third right now. Rick Redmond in the American in the number 2 spot. Neil Cragg in the number 3 spot. Cragg, look at that inside line in the green machine. Not quite close enough to make it happen. Here it is. To the inside, side by side, up and over the double. Oh! Cragg with a huge mistake. As they head into the drop down right here, as you can see, Cragg gets a little sideways. There, over jumps, tumbling. Lucky he didn't break the car on that one. So Cragg now back into the number 3 spot. Not one of Neil Cragg's smoothest races. Up and over the double section he goes now, chasing down Rick Redmond. Right now, Redmond got at least a second and a half on him. Redmond coming around in that number 2 spot. Down the front stretch he goes. He's going to be 6 seconds back from your leader, Martin Wollanka. On to the right-hand side of the track they go. Dropping down, as you can see, Redmond right now. Only 2. Oh, and Redmond makes a huge mistake. Just as I was getting ready to say, with only 2 minutes to go, Redmond's got this one in the bag for a second place finish. Makes a huge mistake. Dan Marson now up to the number 3 spot. Marson in the purple and yellow machine. The Canadian driver. And diving to the inside now, back and forth they go. Marson and Redmond. Redmond the blue and white, Marson in the purple and yellow. Coming into the triple section, Neil Cragg handed the second place spot right now. Oh, and Marson with a mistake. Marson jumping to the inside of the track over the triple section, puts it in the tire. That tire has cost more drivers in this race. Neil Cragg in the number 2 spot now, chasing down your leader. He is 7.7 seconds back. With less than a minute and a half to go in this race, Martin Wollanka is looking for an 8 scale win here in round number 3. Cragg pushing hard right now. Up and over the step up he goes. Coming up on the 1 minute mark for these drivers. Here's your leader, Martin Wollanka. Wollanka with a near flawless run here in Argentina. Neil Cragg up and over the triple. There you can see the separation between them. Cragg coming down the front stretch now. 45 seconds left to go. There's Rick Redmond. Nicholas Loriot making a charge now, trying to get up on the podium here in this one. Loriot diving to the inside. Loriot up at number 3 spot with less than a minute to go. Up and over the double section they go. Onto the back side through that chicane. Loriot up and over the associate. Oh! Loriot making a mistake there. Redmond diving to the inside. Up and over the roller now. 20 seconds left. It's going to be close if they can make it or not. Switching through the switchbacks they go. Redmin right now in the number 3 spot. Loriot in the number 4 spot. Redmin dives back to the inside. Up and over the triple. They go 10 seconds left on the master clock. They are going to get one more lap. Here we go. Final lap for these two drivers. Down the front stretch they go. Redmin in the number 3 spot. Loriot in the number 4 spot. And that is race time right now. They'll be done when they come around on the next one. They are battling out for the number 3 spot. Meanwhile, back up to the front of the pack, Martin Wollanka up and over the step up one final time. Dropping down through the switchback sections, up on that inside curb, up and over the double he goes. Looking for an 8-scale buggy win here in Argentina, up and over the triple. One corner left to go. Your winner, Martin Wollanka. Coming in around for that number 2 spot, Neil Cragg. Cragg coming into the pits there, and Redmond going to get that number 3 spot. Loriot rounding out your top 4. Dan Marson, the Canadian, will round out your top 5. There's your final results here from Argentina. Round 3 for Season 1 of 8-Scale Nitro Buggy Racing on VRC Pro, brought to you by Team Associated.